If your child or grandchild came home from school and innocently asked you, what should I do if a bomb goes off? Would you know what to say? Would you even know the answer? And just how do you talk to your children about events like this, events that we were talking about before the break that have happened in Manchester?
Well, you know, there has been lots of terrorist attacks recently, and the kids come home and they never, ever say anything about it. But this particular one yesterday, they come home and said, oh, my God, Mum, did you hear about Manchester? All them kids that, like, got killed and stuff. And I think, how did they even know? You know, so kids must know more than we think, but they were deeply affected by this. And they said, does that mean, like, if we go to concerts now, this could happen? And so it's like, I'm put in a situation because I don't want them to think wherever they go, something's going to happen. You just got to get on with your life. And I said, no, you know, things can happen anywhere, but you can't stop your life. You still have to go along with these things. But they were definitely affected by it. They wanted to know how many kids had died and...
Yeah,
and I'm not even prepared to talk to.
But would you know what to say if they'd asked you specifically, what should I do in an instance like this?
No, this is the thing. You know, if you go to countries where they've got earthquakes and stuff, you normally know protocols, whatever to do. But with a terrorist attack, because there's so many different kinds of attacks, what do? I wouldn't even know. So maybe schools should make kids aware of it, and even parents, because. You know, some people say, do you just stay there, lie there and act dead, or do you walk off, you know, run off and hide? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, the advice is run, hide, tell. And basically, it instructs a person to run to a place of safety rather than to surrender or negotiate. That's really interesting, because we talked about this as parents last night in terms of, you know, what would we have done? My gut instinct would have been to stay put, because I'd have been very... the stampeding aspect would have frightened me. Turns out that was the wrong thing to do. Actually, you should run. But Lisa, you're the only one here who's actually been in a similar situation like this. Even knowing theoretically what to do, does that stay in your head when something like this actually happens to you?
100%, yeah, because when I heard some ladies last night on the news who, they showed some video footage and they were running, you know, and you could actually hear the tannoy saying from the arena saying, please do not run, please do not run. And they were screaming and running. But of course, it's pandemonium. And until you've experienced that, you have no idea. And yes, I was involved in the IRA Manchester bomb.
You were working in a shop, weren't you?
Yeah, I was working in the shop in St Anne's Square, and was heavily affected by it, you know. And you have to remember as well, Janet, then those days we had no mobile phones. You know, there was a case when you see on social media now where, you know, we root for each other and we say, like, you know, are they safe, and all these...
Did you run? What did you do? I
ran completely, yeah. And it was like, it was every man for himself, you know, and it was that... I now understand what that lady said last night, because I said that pandemonium, I know how that feels, because it's like you don't even want to sort of address another person. And the scarring, we talked before about, you know, yes, we've heard today about the death rate and, of course, the people still in hospital. However, one thing I remember is the visual scars, right? The volume of blood. We have no idea about the amount, thousands probably, that saw you know, unbelievable things, you know, with limbs and wounds. That's what's relaying in my head. That's what I can remember. And I hope, and I know they will, but there will be a sort of time where people are going to need some form of therapy because of what they've witnessed.
Did you have scars or anything from it?
Well, luckily I had my mum, and at the time, I mean, she came to collect me. It was a long way. And we got to a garage, there was a phone box, like, Mum, I'm safe, you know? She came, she collected me, obviously she was a nervous wreck. And then it's only as time goes by and you realise, because we've heard about 9/11, Paris, you know, and again, Westminster, which is only down the road from where we work here, you know? And I think that for me is where I'm at, where it's like, it's the timescales now. Because I was involved.
It's interesting because after 9/11, they looked at the impact on young people living in New York, and they found that 6 months later, a third, 33%, were suffering from anxiety and depression. That's 33% of all the young people living in the New York area were profoundly affected by the 9/11 bombing. And then if you look at the Oklahoma City bombings, they found, I think it was... hang on a minute. They found that children living 100 miles away from that bomb were profoundly affected by the images and what had happened. And I think that, as Katie has said, children know, and they're seeing these images. And also, the anxiety of the adult community is transmitted to young people. They pick it up. They know how we're feeling. But one thing I would say about this dreadful attack in Manchester is that I want young people to fight back. Because the attack has really, really affected, in particular, young girls.
Yes.
I would like to see young girls be brave, come back, go on the streets, unite. I want to see girls wearing headscarves alongside girls who are not wearing her, ordinary girls wearing the kind of clothes they wore at the concert. I think the best antidote to this kind of lunatic terror campaign is for young people to unite.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.